Yeah,
wait.
I'm excited.
Oh my goodness, you caught us halfway through the giggling here. Welcome to the show, friends. I'm Joe, and my guest today, I think, is one of the most joy filled leaders that I've ever had the opportunity to bump into. President of Virginia Western Community College in Roanoke, an institution that has been making college gratis, no cuesta nada, tuition free since probably 2008,
Yes.
sometime. Yeah, and producing like 86% full-time employment for its graduates. It's legit. This is a legit place. And you think of just, the debt that our students are incurring. And this institution is actually very intentional about saving students thousands of dollars every year versus
Hmm.
nothing against 4-year degrees. We're not hating on the 4-year degrees here,
Right.
but almost nobody in this region really knows about what's going on. And I think that's the problem. And that's why we're talking today. Dr. Laura Treanor,
Thank
welcome
you
to
for
the
having
show.
me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I see that you've had commencement and you're kind of in the middle of some office transformation.
We
So
are.
you had to adjust the camera a little bit because
We
there's a
did.
lot going on in
So,
the office today.
as many people know, in higher education, the last building that gets updated is the administration building. And so we're looking at our HVAC and preparing to move out for a year.
Well, how about that? That doesn't make the headlines, new
No.
HVAC, come to our campus because we have modernized
Yeah.
but it's so important. It's so
It is.
important.
I'll
So
tell
you
you, Joe, when they asked me where I wanted to be, because we have to farm out all across the campus, they had me at another outpost of the campus. And I was like, no, no, no. If I'm going to actually be out of the administration building, I want to be embedded somewhere where I'm closer to students, closer to faculty, able to kind of move around a bit more within the environment of the campus. And so happy to say I'll be in our health sciences building.
perfect. Sitting in the commons area, just cutting it up with the kids, as they say.
Exactly.
So you're 10 months in, 10 months in, maybe 11 months in now. What's it like to be you right now?
It's first of all, I feel very, very fortunate to be me. I have such great commitment to higher education and to the role that higher education plays for students. And I couldn't be more pleased to have landed at Virginia Western. It has been an absolute whirlwind of a year.
Hmm.
And by design, I was very intentional with how I wanted to spend that first year. And I kind of look back, at the fall, and I'm like, holy smokes, how? And part of my evaluation came out, Dr. Treanor is everywhere, all places, all the time, et cetera. And I look back and I was like, but I knew that it was important to show up during those first couple of months by design, because I'm following a 24-year president, right? And so I needed to really think intentionally about what that transition was going to look like.
And you came home to do it.
I did. I did. I grew up in Virginia, and I went to school at Virginia Tech, which is right up the road, for both my undergraduate and my doctorate. And I'm actually returning to Virginia after 24 years. I was here at a local college as a professor, and I actually resigned my position at the end of the year to move to be with the person that is now my husband, who
Yay.
was living in Canada at the time. And it was a total leap of faith that we were trying to figure out, like, who would move where. We were engaged, still long distance. And he flew in late one time to the airport, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm over the long distance
We're done.
relationships. I
Yeah.
will move there and we'll figure it out. And best decision I ever could have made in my life. Yep.
I might ask you that question later on too, but
Okay.
and let's talk about context here. Community
Sure.
colleges, they're fighting a demographic cliff. They're not making any more 18-year-olds these
Right.
days. Enrollment pressures, AI's disruption, how students are really discovering credentials that are being offered in lots of different places.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the sector just getting wrong and how it responds, and how are you doing things a little bit differently?
So I think in general, you're absolutely right about the demographic cliff. And I think that where we need to focus on is not only the traditional age student, but also the non-traditional age student who may be interested in they've raised a family, they're interested in coming back, or they're interested in changing careers, or they're interested in upskilling, et cetera. And I think that what Virginia Western does very well is we have truly, I've engaged in a lot of student listening sessions, and I have a wide variety of students that are here. Everything from homeschool to traditional age to
Mm.
the, some people that have been laid off and are looking for career changes, et cetera. And what I've been amazed by is the non-traditional students talking about how they have felt that they've been embraced by the traditional age students, but the traditional age students talking to me about how enriched they have felt by having individuals in their classes who have some life experience. And so when you think about a community college, truly what I hear in our students is it's like a mini community there. So I think thinking about how we can provide opportunities for that transitioning adult and the non-traditional student, and we think about, when are we offering classes? And that's what I'm going to be challenging, our team about. When are we offering classes at times that align with people that are trying to work and hold jobs? And are we offering them in formats that make sense? Are
And
we offering
how do we go about making
yeah,
those types of decisions? Who are
yep,
we asking? I
yep,
had a conversation with another college president the other day, and we were talking about AI, because who's not talking about AI these days? And he said, a lot of my colleagues are flying, across the nation to hear, from the most renowned speakers about what's happening in AI and how we prepare. He said, I'm not doing that. I'm staying on the farm. I'm doing my chores. I'm right
mm,
here hanging out in my commons asking the students how
right.
we ought to be making decisions about AI. And I think that's the whole
I love
idea.
that. Yeah,
If there's a class that needs to be offered, well, who ought we be asking first?
yeah,
Is it within the power dynamics of the institution, or do we go directly to those that we're
mhm,
serving? I
yeah.
Yeah, and I would imagine that this first year has just been a lot of discovery
It
and
has.
a whole notebook of questions that you need
Yeah.
to be asking over the summertime as you reboot for
Yes.
26, 27. I want to ask VWCC as a CCAP program. They've got
Yes.
Fast Forward, you've got workforce
Yep.
credentialing, you've got a new CDL partnership.
We do.
That's a full toolkit,
Yeah.
boss.
Yep. Yep.
So, what is the sector model that makes those things extraordinary rather than just the standard right now? What's worth bragging about?
So I think the CCAP program, the college, the community college access program, is something definitely worth bragging about. As you mentioned at the top of the show, it did start in 2008, but that was well before the idea of free college was coming about. And I think that the interesting thing about our CCAP program is, first of all, 40% of our students that we have at Virginia Western are participating in the CCAP
Wow,
program.
that's a
But the
chunk.
program, yeah, it's great. The program itself is really was designed to be more than just a scholarship program. And so it really is a public-private partnership, and that was designed to be a regional economic engine, okay, of how, so there's plenty of talent around, but access isn't always there. And so thinking about how do we ensure, at least within our area, which is 5 service counties, how do we ensure that debt does not necessarily determine whether or not somebody has a destiny in front of them? Debt
Mm,
shouldn't determine that. And so, this is a program that I'm inheriting, but it's really a crown jewel in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but certainly within this area as well. And I think that we have data that supports the impact that it's had, not only in terms of the dollars that have been saved for students, but also the impact in the community. One of the things that,
right.
go ahead.
No, just I was going to say just the residual effects of just
Exactly.
the economic prosperity that is happening from like you said, the crown jewel is not just for the students; it's for the longevity of every
Yes.
family tree in the
Yep.
community and industry partnerships. Love it.
Yep. And it just almost, it varies by program, but almost 80% of our students actually stay within the region, within the service region. And so these are our nurses, these are our electricians, et cetera. So there's a real synergy behind this program, and the idea that investments by, foundations, by governments, by school districts, et cetera, it's money well spent.
So good. So good. And there's my guess is there's no sneaking anything past you. You've really held every job in the building, right? You've been faculty, you've been a
I have,
dean, you've been a VP, you've been a provost,
I
you
have.
ran HLC accreditation systems, and most presidents arrive and spend a couple of years learning just where things kind of break. And where did that institutional fluency just come right into handy, as they say, in your first few weeks? Right, where you just understood what was happening.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I think when I even think about how I arrived at the presidency, did I ever start my career with that in mind? Was I aiming for that? Absolutely not. Really, along my career journey, I've always focused, started obviously in the classroom. I literally have always focused on being the best at whatever I was at that point in time. And so, even coming to the presidency, I think along the course of my career, I've always had individuals saying, like, when are you going to go for a presidency? That's definitely your next step. And I just move at my own pace.
Yeah.
And I know that this is a very important role in an institution. And because I move at my own pace, I wanted to really have a good handle on a lot of the portfolio that reports to a president. So I feel like I have a tremendous background in the academic arena, institutional effectiveness, student affairs, et cetera. So it limited and made it limited the number of things that I really had to ramp up on very, very quickly. Because
Hmm.
the other things, I could either add some elements to those who are currently in those positions for me, or know exactly the right questions to ask, right? And so I'm very, I feel very grateful that I've arrived at the presidency when I have. But all the time that I put in the classroom better helps me better understand what goes on in the classroom, right? Everything that I learned early on when I was a manager and a supervisor has helped me better understand what that means when you're looking at systems now, not just one-on-ones.
Well, and the reality is, we're all kind of competent because the information is out there to help us build that
Sure,
capacity. We go to
sure.
conferences, we read books, we can learn just the recipe card of how to do things. But the reality is, leading systems and people
Yes.
today, there's no real roadmap that
No,
anybody has written a book on that says follow these four simple steps to be
no,
successful. Right?
no.
It's the difference between complicated and complex. We're leading
Yes,
in complex systems now,
yes.
which I think call forward the credibility that people, not just their competence, but their
Hmm.
credibility of being able
Hmm.
to take what they know and move it into an unknown space.
Hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, that fluid nature, that coupled with this, you've got this little competitive twist to you. Athletic Hall of Fame. I'm still running charity 5Ks. What does that little competitor engine give you
Oh,
that maybe some of your colleagues might not have?
so I grew up, I'm the oldest of seven. I grew up in a very competitive but loving family. And, over the course of our time together, there may or may not have been a monopoly board or two that was flipped in the house, because we're all competitive and we've all played sports. And so I come by that competition honestly. Both my mother and my father were athletes, and there's just a loving sense of competition that has infused in my upbringing and through sports. And so uh, you pull forward the things that, if you're authentically leading, you're pulling through and advancing the things that have helped shape you, right? And so a sense of competition, and my folks know that I'm competitive, and they know that I want to be the best of the 23 institutions. I want And we have a foundation that wants the very same thing. And I want our faculty to want the very same thing, that we want to be the best in what it is that we're doing, that, but it's not an endpoint. It's just we're striving for that,
Yeah.
right? Is
Right.
there some way that we can get better over time? And, my husband likes to joke that continuous quality improvement is one of my love languages, that I am constantly trying to think about how can we get better at that? There has to be a better way to do that.
As I work with leaders that have that same temperament or disposition, sometimes it can work against us, because I also believe there's no such thing as a strategic plan.
Yeah,
It's just a continuous
it
improvement
is.
plan that
It
we're on,
absolutely
right?
is.
And
Yep.
every day should be that infinity loop of we should probably get off and rest a little bit, but we're resting to continuously improve, to multiply those things. I mean, that's every day, just getting up to be right? Just
Yes.
better, right?
Yes.
Healthier,
Hmm.
all those things in the category. But that can drive people nuts. Hey, friends, quick question before we get back to it. I know that you have talented people on your leadership team, but is your team actually performing to its full potential? Most aren't, and most don't know why. The Team Intelligence Assessment is a solution to change that. Find out where your team stands at higherperformancegroup.com. Go to find your starting point to get started today, or click the QR code in the screen right here. All right, back to the show. Right? Including those that we spend our lives with.
Oh my gosh, too funny. Yeah. My husband says I'm always coaching and like teaching life lessons, and I'm like, I don't know any other way to be. We're here, I think, on this earth in a journey to try to get better, to learn more about ourselves, learn more about others, etc. And that starts with personal accountability.
It does. It does. We're hard to live with. I totally. So as you're looking, you've wrapped up a year, and you probably
Yes.
had a number of gains that are just definitely worth more than a golf clap, just worthy of applause in the gains. But you're also looking at real gaps,
Hmm.
real gaps that have persisted, before your time, before your tenure. As you're looking to the year ahead,
Hmm.
one, what are some of the real gains that you're very, very proud of? And then what are some of the honest gaps that you
Hmm.
need to do things differently to address?
Hmm. So I think that I'm very, very fortunate that I once again have inherited an institution that, and this is through the work of the previous president, 24 years, has an outstanding reputation, right? And outstanding outcomes, and I'm not in crisis mode for any of that. So that's a very nice place to be. And then when I came in, I needed to think about what is it that is going to, what's Virginia Western 2.0 look like,
Mm,
and how are we going to get there? And one of the things that I'm very proud of and will continue as we move forward is, Joe, I am very big on investing in your people and investing in your team and helping them drive what the next strategic plan is, how we're going to get there, all of that. So the people that are closest to the issues, helping really position us well. And so I'm very, very pleased about, we stood up an internal leadership program that had not been, we launched it mid-year. And so as I went to HR and I was like, look, I have this idea, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And I thought I was going to have to pitch them on, we need to develop people, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, no, absolutely. And I was like, fantastic. Then
let's
we
go.
started in January, and they're like, on it. And so we started that in January. We've invested in leadership development for 35 folks across the institution that will be looking at innovation, learning more about what innovation is, and helping guide leadership, or helping guide vibe teams. And I can talk to you a little bit about vibe, but teams that are going to design what Virginia Western's going to look like. So immensely proud of I'd say first, the embracing and the willingness of
Mm,
the faculty and staff, that when I came in, they're like, all right, what are we doing? I wasn't sure what I was going to find, right? After following a 24-year president. but they're excited, they're energized, there's a willingness there to help define and move forward. So very, very proud and excited about that.
Well, you definitely are the people's president. I mean, when you think of, I don't say that lightly. There are leaders that are leading systems, and there are leaders that are leading people, and
I'm
you
leading
must do both.
people. Yes.
You must do both, and it must be a daily balancing act of
Yep. Yep.
systems and people. And
It
the
is.
fact that you are, committed to investing in the capacity of your
Yes.
people, uh, we have to do more with less. I mean, that's the other just core challenge to everybody's work in education right now, which means we have to really figure out where the potential lies within our existing people,
Yes.
human systems,
Yep.
right? And nobody can pedal any harder. That's just the reality. Nobody can pedal harder, but I think that we can work better collectively. And
Yes.
that's where that power of teams comes in, and your efforts there. Congrats. I wish we had another hour here, but we don't. And I want to bring out the true human, just all of the human that you are. And we do this thing called the lightning round at the end of
Okay.
every interview. So I
Yeah.
usually ask you a few questions, real quick fire, first answer,
Okay.
no real elaborating here. So the first one is there a quote that you live by, Dr. T?
Yes, I would say act as if what you do matters, and urgency is a sign of respect.
Best and worst advice that you've ever received. Let's go worst first in leading
Worst,
people.
worst advice. Early on in my career, I was told by a former supervisor that you can't change people. And I said, I think I'm in the wrong line of business if I don't think I can change people. Now you can change systems, you can change, rewards, et cetera, but I think all of that can help change people. And if I don't believe that I can change people, I don't think I have any business leading. I'd
Beth,
say best advice was from my doctoral advisor early on, said, reminded me that, Laura, the more time and attention you pay to what others are doing and comparing yourself, the less time and attention you're paying to doing the things that are actually going to differentiate you. And that was something I heard when I was 26 years old. And literally, Joe, it has been a mantra for me.
that's going to be our clip. That's going to be definitely our clip from this interview. That was so good. How about an unpopular opinion that you are really eager to defend?
I think that you can have two things coexist at once in leadership, and it is deep care for people and accountability. I think you can have both, and I think that you need to be able to balance both of those so that people see that you truly are there for them, but your role as a leader is built on accountability, and so you have to figure out how to do both.
Boom. Here's the softball question. You ready?
Yes, hopefully.
UVA or Virginia Tech?
Oh, that is so easy. Absolutely Hokie.
Okay, all the way.
Yep, Virginia Tech,
Have,
two-time Hokie grad.
have you changed your mind about anything recently?
Uh, ooh, that's a good question. I don't know that I've changed my mind as much as I've come around to, especially after this year, the fact that there 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 is only 24 hours in a day, but I need to figure out how I'm doing that, how I am building in relaxation, stress reduction, et cetera, so that I can show up with full energy, full commitment. And so I don't know that I've changed my mind as much as I'm holding myself accountable for building things in, Joe, that bring me joy and passion, like watercolors. I'm learning how to play mahjong. That's frustrating, but it also opens in me like
Mm.
this is like learning, and it is frustrating, and it helps me remember that our students are going through the same thing. I'm looking at tiles like, what in the world are these things? And that's the way our students are looking at the content, like, what in the world is this information? So it helps me. I always draw links between what I'm doing and how I'm leading.
Of course you do. Of course. Yeah. One decision that you'd make 10x.
10x. I think I chose the absolute right career path for me. in education. And when I think about, the golden triangle of choose something that you're passionate about, that your skill set aligns with, and where you can make a difference, I absolutely 100% have chosen the right career path. I've also chosen the right mate, my husband. I think that there is in leadership a hidden support system sometimes for folks who are in leadership roles. I am very, very grateful to benefit from a husband who retired early to be able to support my career transitions. So 100% do both of those over again.
I love it. If you weren't running a college, what would you be doing?
Ooh, I'd love to go into leadership coaching. I like teaching, right? I like working with people, seeing transformations, but I have a very creative side. I love watercolors. I love art. If I didn't go into education, maybe something like interior design or fashion design, I think that'd be something that I could be equally excited about.
So rich. One word for Virginia Western's future.
That's easy. Vibe.
Vibe.
Visionary,
Explain it.
innovation, and bold engagement. And that's our focus for the next iteration of Virginia Western. That's our key. Virginia Western vibe.
I don't always do this, but a question you might have for me.
I love watching your interviews, Joe, and I'm wondering, what brings you joy about doing the interviews, and what is it that you glean? You're in a very interesting position to be able to hear from a lot of leaders.
Yes, I have the most privileged position to be able to, every day have exchanges with just amazingly interesting people doing very important work. But it's the interesting people part that just fascinates me.
Yeah.
And to hear not only the origin story of where that came from, and many times it's role models and just key influencers that just created this tapestry of mission and calling for them, to be able to hear that, but then to see many of them leading off of that front foot and taking bold risks that not everybody is doing. But when I see the builders out there that are willing to really just commit all things to the mission and be willing to also be disliked by people in the process in fighting for the best good. And I think that's in a word, and HPG has a core value called love, and it's not squishy. It's a fighting word. Love fights for the best good of the other as other all the time. So being able to find great people like yourself who love what they do.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that.
Lovely.
No, I love that, because obviously it's answering a passion that you have, and you're intensely interested in learning and gleaning things, and you're a great interviewer. This was easy.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that's the show, folks. And Dr. Treanor, everybody, I always like to pull a key lesson from the exchange. And I think it's about the perception gap, right? That idea that a community college is where ambition goes to become modest. It's a lie, right? And it's costing students in the region real money and real options. So Dr. Laura just proved that you don't need to be loud to win. You're a pretty soft voice out there, but you do need to choose to be heard. That's the thing. You make the choice to be heard, and that's the life that you have lived to bring the impact that you are. And I'm just so grateful that you've been on the show with us today, Dr. Laura. So any last parting encouraging words for any other aspiring president out there?
I think give your best each and every day. It goes back to my saying, what you act as if what you do matters, because it does. People are watching, people are learning. Make sure that the lessons they're learning are positive lessons from you.
There it is. Period. If they want to learn more about Virginia Western, virginiawestern.edu.
That is correct.
And that is the show, folks. Peace. Keep your dukes up.